And now we enter the sound check portion of the evening. If you guys can hear me, you're in trouble tonight. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid. Because tonight, it's just Colin. All by myself. Shaggy's busy fixing a toilet. Let's see. I also don't have a phone patch, so no calling in tonight. I have MSN up. I don't have AIM up. Don't have AIM installed. But you can get me on MSN Messenger at contact@hbradio.com. And I'm on the chat room. So if anyone wants to let me know how it sounds before I actually do anything, I'll make sure you guys can actually hear me. Let's see here. This is like I said, be afraid. This is going to be a wild, wild, wild show. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do. But to start off with, anybody has any question at all, I'll answer any question. Whether it takes an entire show to research, we'll talk about anything, find anything, answer anything, or not answer anything. If I don't know the answer, we'll make one up. So we'll start off with, let's do some techie news. Back to our normal stuff. Let's see here. Oh, great. So it sounds like you can hear me. That's great. So, like I said, this is just Colin. This is just the Colin show. I guess apparently I've been described previously as being slightly more exciting than a dead person. Well, I suppose that part of the show may be slightly more interesting than a dead person. Let's see. Nils Johan Lindberg says, I sound great. Good. I got my little microphone here. Not exactly up to our usual stuff. He says, we're not afraid if you're not afraid. Well, I'm not afraid, but you should be. Okay. Stryker wants me to read a bedtime story. I guess Stryker wants to go to bed. Okay. A bedtime story for Stryker. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Stryker. And one day, Stryker was listening to a radio show over the internet. While he was listening to the radio show on the internet, he was on the chat room. And then he started asking people for bedtime stories. It's a little boy. Well, at least I have a short lag time, looks like here. And then he died at the end. Yeah, that's great, Stryker. There you go. Speaking of stories, some things we usually don't talk about on PTR, but I will, is books. You see, unlike some of the other people, I read a lot. How much do I read? Well, let's put it this way. I read The Lord of the Rings in first grade, and I just started going from there. So, I guess one thing's going to be different about the Colin show than the PTR show is that we're going to be a little bit more literary than usual. Science fiction, though, science fiction and fantasy, that's pretty much my two favorite genres. And so we're going to talk about some. And my favorite publisher is Baen Books. I don't know if any of you have ever seen Baen Books before. You can get to them at www.baen.com. The guy who runs the place, his name is Jim Baen. And he kind of specializes in historical fiction and books where things get blown up. Books where things get blown up real good. And so, interestingly enough, he has two authors who are exactly the opposite of each other. Okay, one guy is named John Ringo. John Ringo writes books. His first books were about aliens were trying to eat everybody on the planet, and so the humans and some supposedly good aliens get together, and basically humans get these big powered suits and start killing the bad guys. And it's like, 4 books. Let's see how many. Several books in that series. More to come. There's an unlimited number of books coming up there. His most recent books, though, have been a series with David Weber. David Weber is another Baen Books publisher. But, another series of books where things get blown up real good. I like books where things get blown up real good because I like things that blow up. So, anyway, like I said, John Ringo is kind of like one far side of things because, John Ringo is a conservative Republican. How conservative Republican? Well, slightly to the right of Attila the Hun has been the description of John Ringo several times. Another author at Baen Publishing, though, is Eric Flint. Now, Eric Flint, put it this way, Eric Flint runs a free library at Baen Books at Baen.com. If you go to Baen.com, you'll find a link there that says Free Library Books. And if you click on that, you'll find that they have tons and tons of entire books from tons of very good authors, absolutely free. Download them, read them, print them, stick them through your favorite voice synthesizer software, whatever you want. They're all straight HTML. Baen Books does not believe in PDFs. So all of their formats are open formats. So you can download a straight HTML version of the book and do whatever you want with it. Let's see. Just looking here and trying to see how many books they got. A lot. Shitload of books. That's what they got there at Baen.com. Like I said, I strongly recommend anything from John Ringo, anything from David Weber. Eric Flint is basically slightly to the left of... let's see, what can you be slightly to the left of? Let's put it this way. He believes that socialism will be back. He thinks communism was stupid, but basically he reads the original Marxist stuff and is a firm believer in that. Used to run in union actions, that kind of thing. So you got these two authors working for this place that are basically automatic rivals. So, okay. Someone thinks my level is a little low, but likes the quality. That's good. That's good. I'll see if I can raise it up a little bit here. Just a second. Where's the level? Oh well. If I find it, I'll change it. If I can't find it, I won't change it. There you go. Let's see. Let's see. We talked about books. Let's see. Books, movies, TV. That's my life there. I read the books, I watch the TV show, and I watch the movies. Stargate, Farscape, Babylon 5 Gate, whatever. Just a second here where I bring some stuff up for you guys. Let's see. What we want to do here is we got a story that we've been looking at from the PTR angle, which we never had a chance to get to. It's the How to Do Girls. HowToDoGirls.com. which is an amazing website. Not what it sounds like. It's not how to do girls. It's not how to have sex with girls. It is girls who show you how to do things while wearing bikinis. So let's bring one up here. I hope this plays here. I haven't tried playing. Let's see. So here we go. The intro to bikini calculus. Oh crap. So none of that went through? Is that what I'm hearing? Wonderful. That's what I get for only having one computer here, I guess. Let's see here. Okay, let's try this. I'm going to try playing it through the microphone. Let's see if that works.
Most people run into calculus when they're freshmen in college. For some reason, colleges use calculus as a weeder class. It's sort of like how girls have certain little tests guys must pass to get to first base. Isn't that frustrating? There you are feeling great about being accepted and thinking you'll be able to do it. Then suddenly you have to prove yourself all over again. I'll tell you a secret. It's easy once you think about it correctly. Calculus is a trick to divide by zero. Okay, the picky math types might argue, but we don't want to argue. We just want to get it. So the easiest way to get it is to look at calculus as a trick to divide by zero. Got it? Now let's get some more. Calculus is like other mathematical operations.
Okay, so that's the how to do girls. You can learn how to do calculus while watching girls in bikinis. Yes, apparently the how to do girls is made up of a couple ex-Playboy models and a couple other girls who actually have degrees. They've been all their episodes are free, although they do have a DVD. They've actually been putting them over BitTorrent. So let's see. Let's see how many episodes they have. One, two. Let's see. The first episode they have is that they have an interview with Paige the night before Bikini Calculus. Paige is sitting in a jacuzzi eating pizza. Then we have the intro, which I just played a little bit of it for you. Let's see. Then we have two of them teaching you constant rule. By the way, disclaimer: I've never taken calculus. I can't stand it. So hey, maybe I can learn. Let's see. Oh, they have a great. I guess there's a chain rule in calculus, so they have a great desktop for your computer that has a list of everything you need to know about the chain rule with a picture of a girl in a chain bikini next to it. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, and then a funny video clip of one of them, Jamie J, having trouble keeping her boobs in her bra. So you have to have the video of the boob bra problem. Yep. So like I said, that's at www.howtodogirls.com. And all you need is BitTorrent and DivX. because it's difficilized. Let's see. Flint and Kingswood is just giving me a link here. Some response from a BitTorrent site to DreamWorks, it looks like. Let's see. Someone's on the BitTorrent site. Oh, this is great. This is their reply to DreamWorks on whether they should take their BitTorrent site down. As you may or may not be aware, Sweden is not a state in the United States of America. Sweden is a country in Northern Europe. Unless you figured it out by now, U.S. law does not apply here. For your information, no Swedish law is being violated. Please be assured that any further contact with us, regardless of medium, will result in A. a suit being filed for harassment, B. a formal complaint lodged with the bar of your legal counsel for sending frivolous legal threats. It is the opinion of us and our lawyers that you are fucking morons, and that you should please go sodomize yourself with retractable batons. Please also note that your email and letter will be published in full on www.thepiratebay.org. Go fuck yourself, plight as usual, Anacata. There you go. BitTorrent sites replying. That's anybody else has any funny things? Go ahead. Let's see. You might look and see if your sound card has a stereo. I'm actually using a Audio-Technica microphone that plugs into the microphone port on the front of the computer. And as far as I know, I can't use the stereo mix. I tried that and it didn't work. I don't have a mixer like we usually do on the show. All I have is the microphone and the computer. So, like I said, we are flying high without a Nate in this episode. Let's see. Just a second, I'll bring something else up here. Okay, something else we haven't talked about. You may have read that Apple I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe, yeah. They brought out a new version of the Mac, the cheap Mac. Apparently, the old everybody would have Macintosh if they're a cheaper idea. Well, they're trying it out to see if it's true. It's basically a little box that has no mouse and keyboard. That seems to be the new concept. Wow, a computer that has no mouse, no keyboard, no monitor. No one has ever seen one of those before. Oh, wait. Of course, all of us have, because, we build our own machines with no mice, no keyboard, no motor car. But anyway, as you may have heard a couple of times, I do actually own a Mac. I know Macs because when I was in school, Macs were the only computers we had, so I had to be the Mac person. So several years ago, I bought an iMac. Yeah, it sits in the kitchen. I use it to hold recipes. It does a pretty good job of that, and that's about all it does. So yeah, they got this new, and there's articles coming out where people were talking about this, this new version of the Mac, and they're saying, well, that the PCs there's going to be a copycat PC one here from someone pretty soon, and I'm like, a copycat? They didn't include a mouse and a keyboard. It's like $6 worth of hardware. Yeah, Dell's going to jump on that. IBM's going to jump on that. Wow. They're going to make tons of money by not putting in the $6 mouse and keyboard. Consumers are going to love that. Idiots. Let's see. Apparently, new footage though of the original Apple commercial has now come up. Pretty much everybody's seen that commercial, I think. Back in when the Mac first came out, they had this 1984 commercial where, not in the year 1984, but 1984 the book. With all these people, with Big Brother up on the screen, and then this woman comes running in with an Apple logo on her front, like a big hammer, and throws the hammer through the screen, showing that IBM is Big Brother, and that everyone was all gray and stuff. And here comes the bright, colorful Mac. Well, apparently, there's more to the commercial. There is an entire. Let's see. There's like more of it. I'm not sure what I mean. Is she running more towards, through hallways and stuff before she gets there or something? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's go FARC rating. You can always go raid FARC. Let's see. Oh, even better. Okay. I know everyone's familiar with FARC. That's a good place to go and get your daily funny. I know everyone's familiar with The Onion. Yeah, you go to The Onion and get your funny. There's a couple other good places to get funny. Getting funny is good. And one of them is This Is True. It's thisistrue.com. This guy, Randy Cassingham, has been putting out a email newsletter for years now with true stories. It's kind of like the news of the weird thing that you get in the newspaper a lot. But a lot of those news of the weird things are always like fake. Every so often you'll see that same story. The two guys out on the back roads, and the fuse goes out on the truck, and they stick the bullet in, and it fires off and shoots his balls off while they're going over a bridge and stuff like that. None of that crap on This Is True. This Is true all the time. And what's great is it's actually free. He has a couple ads in the in his newsletter itself, but he doesn't give your email off to anybody. I personally am actually a paid subscriber. I actually pay him for the premium edition, which is no ads and even more stories. Unfortunately, he's pretty much a stickler though on copyright and stuff. So, but he also has the True Stella Awards. A lot of people are familiar with the Stella Awards, that stupid email chain letter that keeps getting sent around and around and around with the fake stories about, like the foreigner who buys the motorhome and turns on cruise control and goes in the back of the motorhome while driving down the highway to cook something and ends up getting in a crash. Silly things like that. Well, the True Stella Awards, which is at Just a second. There we go. It's at StellaAwards.com. And same guy, Randy Cassingham, a couple of years ago, he decided to create the True Stella Awards. Awards with real people who are getting real lawsuits. So, what we're going to do is, in case you haven't heard it, we're going to go through who the winners were. So let's go. Here's who's in the running for 2004. A mortgage company which sued one of its customers who is the victim of identity theft, even though the theft was the result of the company's own negligence. So I remember this one. The mortgage company gave out information about this person to a scumbag criminal, and the scumbag criminal immediately bought like several houses under the other guy's name. Ruined the guy's credit. And then they sued the guy who was the victim for the other houses that had been bought by the scumbag criminal. Even though it was the mortgage company that gave out his, personal information to begin with. Let's see. Next up, a woman sued after a car wreck, claiming the auto manufacturer was at fault because it failed to provide instructions regarding the safe and proper use of a seat belt. Yes. We don't have enough labels on everything telling you not to do stuff. Now, the woman wants a huge sticker stuck on your car that says, how to use a seatbelt. Wonderful. What's next? They're going to be walking down the street, and there'll be signs up there that says, please do not slip. Please do not fall. Be careful putting your left foot in front of your right foot. Please remember to tie your shoes. Whatever you do, do not stick your finger through your eye and back out through your nose. Yes. A woman who sued because her town's name was misspelled on her cell phone bill. This is a woman with way too much time on her hands. The mother of a football star who died after crashing while speeding in a snowstorm sued the manufacturer of the car for $100 million. Because obviously it was the car's fault. Let's see. A newspaper which grossly overpaid one of its delivery carriers. He gave all the excess money back except 10%, which he said he would return after they gave him an accounting for tax purposes. Rather than grant that reasonable request, they sued to get the money back. Basically, you got paid too much money, but because they'd given him the money, he was afraid he was going to get taxed for it, so he kept enough money back to pay the taxes. Until they gave him the note that said that they'd really given the money to him incorrectly and wouldn't report it to the IRS and make him, pay taxes. And then a company that received a bad review of its product for Consumer Reports magazine. Rather than improve the product, it sued the magazine. Now, this is, you've all seen the commercials. This is that air cleaner you always see on TV, the one from Sharper Image, the Sharper Image cleaning thing. Yeah. Well, apparently, a couple years back, Consumer Reports did a review of it and discovered that it did jack squat, which, like air cleaner with no fan in it, that's going to clean up a lot of pollutants out of your air. So that's what Consumer Reports said. They said, bad product. So what's Sharper Image do? They sue. I guess they have sharper lawyers at Sharper Image. Everyone's always trying to sue Consumer Reports. Is that our product that's bad? It's the review which of course means, hey, let's go steal some content from Consumer Reports. That's always fun. Let's see here. Yeah, I always love reading the letters to the editor of Consumer Reports because these people are such morons. They really are. I mean, first of all, they're writing to a magazine. What idiots write to magazines nowadays? Unless it's like a hacker magazine or like I have a friend named Augie. He's always writing to comic books. If you ever read comic books, you might have seen this guy, Augie de Blick, over and over again. He was like a weekly columnist almost sometimes. Yeah, guy runs a column now at Comic Book Resources, but nice guy. Anyway, here we go. Concerning your December 2004 report, where to buy electronics. Don't forget the independently owned TV store, especially for hard-to-install items such as HD TVs. When I went shopping for a big screen HD TV, naturally I visited the big chains, but I found the set I wanted, a Sony 60-inch LCD, for $4,000. Then I stopped by a father and son-owned Sony store, and I found the same set at the same price. One big difference: Dad and Lad delivered the set and wired my home theater free of charge. Best of all, they arrived within 5 minutes of the promised time, not "we'll be there between noon and 5 p.m. Yeah. Okay. First of all, if you can't wire up a TV on your own, maybe you shouldn't be buying that 60-inch LCD. Maybe you should be buying me that 60-inch LCD. You can come over to my house and watch it. Second, there's no way that I'm going to some little place down the street to buy something that expensive, especially an LCD TV. Because something little thing goes wrong within that first month, I got to take it back to that father and son, and I know they can't afford to take it back. I've been there. I've helped run some of these little stores like that. Man, they can't take it. Some of these Radio Shack franchises, for example. You take if you buy something there and you bring it back, a lot of times they get stuck with it. And the worst part is, the company stores, they're even worse. Like, you can buy something from a company store and return it at a franchise store, and they have to take it back at the franchise store. But so they're giving you money, and they never got the money in the first place from Radio Shack themselves. Okay, so then they take this whatever it was, and the store has to send it back to corporate Radio Shack. And what's corporate Radio Shack do? They send a new one. A new one. Not the money. A new one. So if you go to a corporate Radio Shack store and buy a $10,000, 20 quadrillion inch TV, take it home, decide you don't like it, and take it back to a franchise Radio Shack store, you just saddled that poor Radio Shack owner for a $10,000 TV, which they send back to Radio Shack. They give you $10,000, send the TV back to Radio Shack, and receive in return another $10,000 TV, which they, of course, will never, ever, ever sell. Long story short, don't buy a Radio Shack franchise. Learn from experience. Franchising sucks. Not just Radio Shack franchising, anything franchising. As I said, be afraid. Be very, very afraid. Because this is Colin Radio, and, well, as has been said before, I'm as boring as a dead guy. But I'm twice as animated. Well, so far it looks like I'm holding one listener. Woohoo! Anyway, it looks like this is probably going to be a short show. I'm not going to be able to keep this up for 2 hours. I'm not even keeping this up for 1 hour. Yeah, Stryker, you. Oh, Niels is there too. So maybe it's 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ask Consumer Reports whether or not you should freeze your coffee. Yeah, because they know so much about coffee. Oh, and this is the greatest answer, too. You should ask the manufacturer. Thank you, Consumer Reports. Why did you even bother printing the letter? Okay, we're up to 3. 3 listeners. Ha ha ha. So. Let's see. We already did the how to do, girls. We already did literature. So, has anybody out there seen the new Battlestar Galactica yet? It's pretty interesting. I actually was watching it in advance because, well, they were showing it in England last year, so, get on the internet, download it, watch it, score. TV off the internet's great. No commercials. It's kind of funny though, me having to download TV shows off the internet. I actually have DirecTV and with a TiVo, which means I have two tuners to download stuff off of, basically satellite channels. My computer, the one that's processing the sound right now, is it's a Media Center, which means that it has Windows XP Media Center Edition, which is currently on the 2003 edition, but I'll have the 2004 edition installed as soon as I get off my lazy butt and do it. So it downloads stuff off of the cable, because I got a cable modem, so I went ahead and got the local channels over the cable modem. And then I have a DVD recorder, which I bought at Meijer during the big Christmas sales. Picked up a DVD recorder at an Apex, wonderful Apex, but it's only $50, and it writes on plus and minus. So I think it's plus. No, it writes on plus at least. So I got that to record off of the local channels as well, because sometimes you got to watch The Apprentice and CSI. So yeah, I can record 4 things simultaneously in my house. 2 things off cable, 2 things off the satellite. And then I download other stuff off the internet. It's sad, I guess. Okay. Well, apparently some people like my boring show better than, some things have been going on in other shows, I guess. So at least some people are happy, or tolerant, I guess. Let's see. Oh, of course, we have to talk about Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson died over the weekend. I, of course, grew up with Johnny Carson. I know all of you have, most of you at least, grew up with Johnny Carson. No one else is even close. I can't stand Leno. Letterman did a really, really bad job of the Academy Awards. That's something that Carson never did. Do really bad at the Academy Awards, I mean. It's sad. It's kind of like Johnny Carson, went off his show, and it's kind of like Richard Dawson. If any of you remember Richard Dawson, he was the guy who was the original host of Family Feud, and was on Hogan's Heroes. Another funny guy, just when he went off it, when he retired from Family Feud, he just disappeared. Johnny Carson and Richard Dawson, both of them, they retired and just you never saw them again. Every so often you'd hear this, story retrospect going, where are they? Well, apparently Johnny Carson's been sending his jokes to Letterman. Probably the funniest jokes Letterman has. Not that I don't like Letterman, but I just can't watch him night after night after night. So let's see what's going on in the world of movies. Let's see here. I guess Sundance is going on. Sundance, place to go and see new movies and watch women not wearing anything. Or watch a movie where women aren't wearing anything. I guess you can see both at Sundance. Let's see. New tidbit about Episode 3, Star Wars. And a certain young captain. Let's see what's going on there. As we wait for the magical internet wheel to turn. Fly, flag, fly. There we go. Okay, there's been some speculation that there's a young captain in Episode 3 of Star Wars, and that it might be Han Solo. Um, I agree with some of the other commentators out there. I think that's a really silly idea. I don't think you need to see Han Solo in the first 3 movies. I think it's much better him just showing up. But it turns out that it is not true. The young captain in question will be Captain Antilles. Now, most people may not know who Captain Antilles is, but in the 4th movie, New Hope, the original Star Wars itself, C-3PO and R2-D2 were owned by Captain Antilles. So apparently we are going to see how C-3PO and R2-D2 ended up with somebody else. And hopefully why C-3PO lost all of his memory. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. There's a new trailer that seems to have nude swinging boobies. What movie could this be? Okay, Nils Johan Lindberg is talking about Carson. So he loved the way they portrayed Johnny Carson in The Simpsons, the episode of Krusty's Comeback Show. To Krusty, the greatest entertainer in the world, except for that guy. Bart points to Johnny Carson, tap dancing and playing the accordion while balancing a board on his head atop which sits Grandpa and Jasper. Yeah, it was a good episode. Although, has there ever been a bad episode of The Simpsons? I mean, really. It's like one of the only shows you can sit down and just watch and watch and watch and watch. And it's the exact same episode you already saw. It's amazing. Yeah. Now, I, of course, love cartoons, and I love comic strips. So I think we are going to talk about comic books and comic strips here in a little bit. Let's see. Let's see what trailer this is with the swinging boobies. Okay. Seems to be... I guess it's Crispin Helion Glover's feature film, What Is It? Okay. Looks like some indie film named What Is It? Let's see. Apparently there's green skinned Star Trek women, Leia in Hoth gear, chainmail broad babes, and other stuff. Okay. Well, for some of you out there, sounds like right up your alley there. Don't know anything else about it, but there you go. What is it? Anyway, as far as cartoons go, I watch a lot of Cartoon Network because, well, that's the only place you can find good cartoons anymore. And greatest show right now is Megas XLR. I don't know if any of you out there have seen this show yet, but it is a amazing show. Let's see. See if I can get this up here. As we hear the Cartoon Network website bleeping along here. Of course, they also have Duck Dodgers. Yay. Let's see. Ah, there we go. What I'm trying to do here real quick is see if we can... Okay. There you go. Okay, let's see. Yeah, they don't have it. Just a second. What I'm trying to do is see if I can find the theme song. Which, of course, I'll probably have to play back through the microphone again, since that seems to be the only way I have right now to get anything over the radio. Let's see. Aha. Mega 6OR is a show. It's basically the this fat guy named Coop and this skinny guy named Jamie find a robot from the future in their New Jersey trash heap. Let's see. Okay. Well, I can't find the theme song, so we'll just forget that. What we'll do is we'll go to my second love, which is comic strips. I don't know if any of you have experienced the great internet pastime of reading online comic strips. The comics you can find online are much, 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 much better than anything you'll find in your local newspaper. Unless you're one of the few people who has a local newspaper that's started displaying the new Keen Keen comics. That's Keen. So let's see. Now the hub for most of the greatest comic strips on the internet is KeenSpot. That's www.keenspot.com. It's a community. It's kind of like the NHB of online comic strips. And recently, they've actually started a new thing where they actually have online animated cartoon things here, which is relatively new for them. I guess they've been trying to do it for years, but they're really, really, really stupid. Space Tree. It's a tree who is a captain of a spaceship. Basically, he's a tree. He's Space Tree in space. But for the actual comics, though, there's tons of great comics. And what's great about these online comics is that because they're not as commercial, because they're not so commercial, you get a lot of comic strips that actually have storylines, and these storylines just keep going for years. And I just was reminded by Unidan to say that if you yourself are an aspiring comic strip writer, there is a free version of the main KeenSpot site is by invitation only. You have to be an established comic strip person on the internet before you can get your strip there. But there's a place called Keen Space, where anybody for free can get a website and put up their comic strips. And if you are an artist and you do want to do that, then they basically have an entire automated system. You put your comics up, and you can get if you're good enough, your comics done like in advance, then you can actually put them up, and the system will automatically post new comic strips on a day-by-day basis. But some of the comics they have up there are like they have one called Anti-Hero for Hire. It's about a sort of a superhero type guy. Even though he has no powers, he basically just has a big gun. His name's Shadowhawk, and he's fighting the bad guys. But unlike most superhero type things, he's capturing the bad guys for their bounty. He takes them to the police and gets money. Then there's Bruno the Bandit. Bruno the Bandit is one of the oldest comic strips on the internet. It's one of the first ones, if not the first one, to start posting out there. It's basically kind of a fantasy thing with a guy named Bruno who's a bandit, and he has a sidekick dragon. And he's been king, he's been not been king. He just got married. Right now, his wife, who is an ex-fame vampire, it's kind of like a vampire who lives on fame, and when they die, they become a has-been. Well, now they're going to Comeback Island, where she's going to try to enter a reality show to become a let's see, what's he calling that? Let's see, because originally she was a fame vampire. Now she wants to become a fame vulture. Yes, a fame vulture. Let's see. One of the newest strips, and one of the weirdest, is one called Algunish Sheev. This started a guy named Dan Sheev, or I think it's Sheev. It's Shive. This is a very weird comic strip. But if you like comic strips with characters who are constantly changing gender and stuff like that, that's a good comic strip for you. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty funny. A lot of anime related stuff. All was pretty clean. He rated it PG-13, so it is relatively clean, and it's he's got some good storylines. That one I highly recommend. That's a really good strip. Let's see. Funny Farm just started back up. That's about it's kind of a weird world where some of the people are animals and some aren't, and no one seems to really notice. It's kind of weird. It's been on hiatus for a long time, and it just started back up again. Then there's General Protection Fault, GPF, a good geek comic strip about people who work for a computer company called GPF. That strip starts really slow. Because it starts off derivative. It almost seems like another Dilbert, but as they continued, the storylines get really, really dense, and they keep changing. And like there was an entire year where one of the characters was on the run, and another character was estranged. It's like geek soap opera sometimes. It's another really, really good strip. Jeffrey Darlington, the author of that strip, is a programmer. So let's see. Just checking out the IRC chat because I can't see that while I'm doing the other thing. Let's see. Okay, back of Cartoon Network. Some references to Adult Swim. Yeah, Adult Swim's great. I love the Venture Brothers. That one's relatively new. To describe that as what if Johnny Quest was an idiot and his father was a bigger idiot? And then you'd have the Venture Brothers. If someone's asking, Striker's asking about Penny Arcade, I never actually read Penny Arcade. I know I look at it every so often, but I don't know. There's so many other strips that I like so much better. I already read. Let's see. On a daily basis, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 comic strips. And they all come out about 11 p.m., which is interesting. I guess they 11 p.m. Central. That'd be 12 p.m. Pacific there for you. So every night at about 11 local time, I'm getting on the internet to read my comic strips. That takes a while, going through page by page. Another really good strip is Schlock Mercenary. For any of you who've been following along, as I said earlier, I like stories where things get blown up real good, right? Well, Schlock Mercenary is a comic strip about mercenaries blowing stuff up. Which is kind of weird because the guy who writes Schlock Mercenary, Howard Taylor, is a Mormon. So you got a Mormon writing about things blowing up a lot. Until recently, for all of you GroupWise users out there, Howard Taylor was actually the guy in charge of GroupWise. Woohoo! I, on the other hand, hate GroupWise. We have to use it at work. It is not anywhere close to being as good as Notes or Exchange, Outlook, Outlook Express, Eudora, paper notes passed under the door. Just about anything would be better than using GroupWise as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. User-friendly. Let's see. Yeah, user-friendly, I really never got into that one either. A lot of these comics I find just after a while they start acting kind of like newspaper comics. They just start getting the same thing over and over again. I really like the comics that have ongoing storylines where things are always changing and you have to keep up. I also don't like it when the comic strip just never, it's like I don't know if you have there's a comic strip named Mary Worth that shows up in the newspapers. That's supposed to be an ongoing story, but I don't even read the newspaper. So, but every couple months I'll pick up a newspaper, and Mary Worth will be about to cross the street. And then like 6 months later, I'll decide to look at the paper. I notice that she's made it across the street. 6 months later, she's still walking across the freaking street. Oh, I can't take that. On a day-by-day basis, I need things to be moving, but I don't want it to be like Garfield. Was Garfield ever funny? Oh, Garfield. I hate Garfield. There's so many comics that I wish would just go away. Garfield. Dennis the Menace. Who reads Dennis the Menace? That's crap, that is. Okay, away from KeenSpot, you have, in my opinion, the king of online comics. That would be Sluggy Freelance. That's www.sluggy.com. And what does Sluggy Freelance mean? I have no clue. No, neither does anybody else, because Pete won't tell anybody. I'll tell you how much I like to this comic. For GPF, I actually have a Fred the Slime Mold Beanie Baby thing. Beanbag toy. It sits on top of my computer up here. I also have a Bun. Two Bun actually. I have one which is a Beanie Baby Bun. It's a holiday Bun dressed up as who's Bun? Bun is from Sluggy Freelance, and he is a switchblade wielding lop rabbit. There you go. The most dangerous being in the universe. You don't mess with the bunny. So I have a large stuffed doll Bun with a very large switchblade. And Bun sits in the back window of my car. I never have any trouble with people up in my bumper because they see Bun and they go running. So yeah, that's pretty much my favorite there. Sluggy Freelance. Kevin and Kel's pretty good too. And Free Fall is very good. Free Fall is one that most people don't know about. It's at freefall.persia.com. That's freefall.purrsia.com. For physics junkies, that's a pretty good strip. They do a lot of space stuff, which uses a lot of fact-based physics that a lot, for people who really who understand something about physics, it's quite functionally, because they'll do stuff that most people don't understand for some reason. If you know something about it, you'll find it hilarious. Okay, so let's see here. Best thing about online comic strips is that they are very, very long. I mean, some of these strips have been going for years. Sluggy Freelance, for example, has been online since 1997. There's been a comic strip for every single day since August 25th, 1997, all the way up to this morning. Which means, if you're bored, you can sit there for a very long time and just read the comic strip. Every single strip is still online. There's nothing missing. It's a good way to pass the time, especially with something as good as Sluggy. I mean, where else other than Sluggy Freelance can you watch characters conjure up the devil to get them some beer? Yes, you heard me right. They bring up Satan himself for some beer. So how does that work? Well, it's pretty much like this. There's a second. Oops. I don't know. Maybe I won't find it. Okay. There we go. Summoning a demon. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read the comic strip. There you go. Don't you love that? Reading a comic strip to you. If you would like to read along, you can go to sluggy.com/daily.php !date equals 970921. Of course, since you're probably lagged behind me, you probably won't see it. But here we go. Torg and Riff summoning a demon. So they summon a demon, but before the demon can be released to savage the world, it must pay a price. What's the price? Well, first, a 6-pack of beer. And $20. So the demon pulls out money. Let's see. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19. Can I borrow a quarter? Nope. Curses! And the demon loses. There you go. Yes. A demon loses because it only had $19.75. Tune in next week for where Torg and Riff summon Beelzebub for a case of cigars and Super Bowl tickets. Woohoo! Yeah, that's irreverent humor there for you. Apparently, Rye used to read Sluggy, but couldn't find it. Hasn't read it in over 3 years. You've missed a lot, Rye. A lot's happened in the last 3 years. For one thing, there's been several parodies of Harry Potter. Yes, Torg becomes Torg Potter. There you go. Let's see. Yes, dead air. Okay. Yeah, we're still encoding. So, I don't got much more for you guys. Unless someone has something they want to talk about, I'm probably going to have to shut the show down. About 2 other people to give keep it going. It's hard. As I said, Shaggy, and I don't know if Nate's helping, but I know Shaggy. Shaggy's busy with the toilet problem. Yeah, apparently he had some drips from the toilet, and now those drips have turned into a torrent of water. So he's going to be spending the rest of the week, it sounds like, fixing his toilet. So let's see. Oh, they're looking for a topic. I'll talk about anything. I'm opinionated. Let's talk about Linux. The Holy Roman Empire and why it was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. Discuss. Okay. So why wasn't it an empire? I'm pretty sure that one of the definitions of an empire would be Rome. Why wasn't it holy? Well, that's pretty darn simple. That okay, Mr. Bone is looking for a picture of a Cat 5 cable with a condom on the end. So there you go. Anybody out there can find that picture. Mr. Bone wants it. Yeah, virus protection. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Let's see. Talk about Linux. Okay. Contrary to popular belief, I actually have installed the other operating system, the un-Windows, several times on several computers. Truth of the matter is that even though I get it installed and I play around with it for a while, play with it for a while and just I don't know. I kind of run out of things to do with it. As I've said before, I'm kind of in this area, here in Central Illinois, there isn't much call for open source stuff, so he. Okay, Dark Ian is giving us an idea. How about why people prefer different forms of underwear? Yeah. I have no idea why people prefer different forms of underwear. I'd be just happy if everyone wore the same underwear. Oh, no, not... Yeah, that's great. One pair of underwear for the entire world. There you go. Let's see. Okay. Rye wants to know about upgrading his computer's video card. He has a Presario 6000. What can he do to play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines? Well, okay. Let's see. First of all, it's Presario 6000. Let's see what's in that thing. Okay. So here we go. Presario 6000. That is a 1.8 gigahertz Athlon XP 2200 plus. Yeah, I mean that's a little slow, but I mean compared to some stuff now. No, that's 2200. That should still run pretty much anything today. Let's see. Do you have the original MSI G4 MX 420 in that thing? I'll take it that you have the original card. Yeah. Yeah, because apparently, according to what I'm seeing here, yeah, that has a real slot there. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty pitiful. You're not going to be able to run much on that. Luckily, let's see. Let's go out and check the Magic price board. I myself have a NVIDIA 6800 card in here. So Let's see here. Let's check on some prices for you here, Ryan. How much do you want to pay, Ryan? Okay, let's put it this way. This is my number one rule with computer stuff. How much do you want to pay? Forget the numbers. Forget, I want a 18 gigahertz Pentium quadrillion with, super threaded. No. How much do you want to pay? And then you find the computer, the most powerful piece of hardware you can find to match the price. Let's see. Mr. Bone, if you don't have an AGP slot in the computer, you're pretty much stuck. So yeah, I can see, needing a new motherboard, and as long as you're building a new motherboard, you might as well build a new computer for that matter. But let's see. See, I don't think Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I know you want Jew pricing. That's great. Where exactly would that be? Like 0 to 200. Wow. Okay, you can get actually a pretty good card for 200. Let's see here. Let's see. Well, first of all, you don't want to get any kind of 6800 card. 6800 card like I have is not going to be 200. What you can get, though, is a 6600. 6600, that's the... they're actually newer than the 6800. They have some newer features. You can get a 6600 GT for as low as around $200. I can see like you can get an MSI one for 177. I personally have always liked NVIDIA boards. I know Nate doesn't always agree with me because he kind of likes ATI boards, but I've always had much better luck with NVIDIA drivers than ATI drivers. So let's go check over here real quick. I'm checking hard OCP right now to make sure that there's nothing new that I need to find out. Hard OCP is the best place to go. I also always check, Anantech and Tom's Hardware. Yeah, I always find great stuff at Tom's Hardware. Sure. Let's see here. As far as the 6600s go, you can actually go with there's a 6600 NX. Never sure what an NX is. Those are dirt cheap. But I would guess the GT would probably be best. Let's see. Some of the people here are saying, let's see. You get a GeForce 4 Titanium 4800 for about $200. Buying any of the older cards, I just can't see. Let's see. Yeah, a dual Voodoo 5. Yeah, those lasted. Yes, the as far as daisy chaining goes, the 6600 card is the daisy chain card of choice, but that's preferred on the newer. Uh, there's actually a new slot beyond AGP where you can actually have multiple cards on the fast slot. Let's see. Okay, now as far as external hard drives go, I would go with cheap. You can get really expensive external hard drives, or you can get really cheap external hard drives. I have a 160 gig Western Digital external hard drive I bought at Sam's, and it was pretty cheap. So you can also get an enclosure. Sometimes you can find an external enclosure pretty cheap. If someone else is just asking about PCI Express, yeah, PCI Express. That's basically, if you're going to do daisy chaining of video cards, you need a PCI Express video card and a PCI Express motherboard. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not PCI 2, it's PCI Express. Okay, apparently there's some deals on external cases bundled with large drives, which reminds me, I was at Sam's the other day. They have a new Samsung PVR, which has no hard drive with it. It's the first time I ever saw this. It's like a like a TiVo unit and stuff, but it has no hard drive with it. And what it has, it's a removable hard drive bay. Okay, so you buy this PVR, and you buy some extra removable hard drive bays, and you just buy your own hard drives, stick them in, and slot them into the Samsung PVR. I guess we're going from VHS tapes to hard drives. That's yeah, SOI compliant motherboard. Listen, I don't think any of us are getting an SOI set anytime soon. I know I'm not. I look at it this way. I have a 6800. It's not even a 6800 GT. It's a straight 6800 plain Jane video card, right? And I have a 19-inch LCD screen. And at the limit of resolution on my LCD screen, I can turn all the settings on Doom 3 and go full blast and never see any slowdown. Why would I care about that? I don't know. I never actually even played Doom 3. I find Half-Life 2 is a better game. But either one, I can go full blast. And that's all I care about. I don't see myself buying a new video card anytime soon. I certainly don't see myself buying 2 video cards soon. Oi the Drama is talking about NVIDIA drivers. That's the thing about NVIDIA. They only have one driver. The same driver works on every single card. So I'm not sure why you'd have a situation where you don't have a new driver for your operating system. Okay, apparently Rye wants lots of hard drives. One for movies, one for pictures, etc., etc. Okay. So, or the drama. What was it that you couldn't find a driver for? I'm just interested. Because, that's always been the greatest thing about NVIDIA drivers. You go out to NVIDIA.com, and there isn't... it's like you go to ATI.com, and then you spend like 8 hours trying to figure out which ATI card you have and which driver goes with it. If you have an NVIDIA card, you go to NVIDIA.com, and you download the NVIDIA driver. You're done. There's only one driver. That driver works for everything from the TNT cards to the newest SLI card. And I know ATI is using unified drivers now, so the more recent cards are that way too, but still. I just have lots of bad, just old stuff where it just, annoyed me. Okay, got a question here about USB 2. Do I need this type of connection to connect an external hard drive? And what exactly is this type of connection for? Basically, let's put it this way. The original USB was not fast enough to run Ethernet. Okay? Even though there were Ethernet USB adapters, the USB cable itself was not fast enough to go full speed. It definitely isn't fast enough to get anywhere near reasonable performance from a hard drive. Now, you can plug a hard drive into a USB 1.1 port. That's no problem. You're just not going to be too happy with the speed. USB 2.0 is much, much faster than USB 1.1. In fact, USB 2 is actually faster than FireWire, which makes FireWire kind of redundant. So if you have a USB 2 card, that external hard drive will go pretty darn fast. I mean, pretty close to what it would be on an IDE port. I mean, there's more overhead going over USB than straight IDE, but it is going to be fast. Let's see. Yes, Rye, it would be possible to have all those external hard drives, store them in a closet, pull out one, and then when you need it. But what you may want to look at is, instead of getting multiple enclosures, you may look at getting one that has like some kind of tray system for the hard drive. That way you don't have to waste your money on a whole bunch of USB enclosures. You can have just a couple USB enclosures and swap the hard drives out. Let's see. Man, suddenly everybody's talking. Let's see. Necroboy. Speaking of Half-Life 2, it works with my onboard video card, which is Intel Extreme Graphics. But when I load Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, it gives me an error box to the command that says, cannot read memory. Any idea? Same up for Half-Life 2, but I add another command to the properties and it fixed it, but didn't work for Deathmatch. Any advice? Not off the top of my head. Have you gone to the forums? For anybody with Half-Life 2 has any problems, if you go to steampowered.com and go to the forums, there's a wealth of information there on how to fix almost anything going wrong with Half-Life 2. They're more responsive than Valve is. I think Valve is a little overwhelmed at the moment. Let's see here. Someone's saying that new ATI cards outbench all NVIDIA cards. I haven't kept up. Last I saw, the NVIDIA cards were winning, but like I said, I haven't kept up recently. Unidan says, tell him that if he has Xfire installed, uninstall it. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Are you talking about the Half-Life 2 problem there? And by the way, if we haven't said it recently, truth of the matter is, video card speed, processor speed, memory speed, all that crap, it really doesn't matter much anymore. I watch my computers going. I just saw an interesting statistic. 80% of the time, your processor is doing absolutely nothing. It's only running 20% of the time. The rest of the time is waiting for the hard drive to give it something and for memory to give it something. So, a faster processor isn't gaining you much anymore. Um, okay, apparently Unidan's saying that if you have Xfire installed, it will cause problems with Half-Life 2. So, if you really want your computer to be faster, I'd look at making sure that you have fast memory and a fast hard drive. Which means saving some money by trying to find some old lower RPM hard drive is not a good deal. And Necroboy does not have Xfire, so it must be some other problem. I've had pretty good luck with Half-Life 2 myself. I did have a problem recently where it wasn't working, so I had to delete a file and recheck the files. So far, I've been pretty impressed with Steam. I know Nate hates Steam because it destroyed Counter-Strike for him, but with a fast internet connection like I do and a fast computer, it's nice having that all that software kept up to date. I spent way too much money. I bought the Platinum package of Half-Life 2, which means that I have all the software, the hat, the soundtrack, etc. Some nice posters. I like posters. Okay. Actually, this has been going a bit longer than I thought. This is good. It's good. Okay, so something else we can. Someone else brings up some more tech questions. We've got a train coming. Because yes, this is my house we're at, and I live pretty close to the tracks. So we'll talk about my house a little bit. I've been living here about a year and a half now. I got a pretty big house all to myself. But I have very interesting decorations. I don't know if any of you ever heard of something called an animated animation. It's actually, this is what I collect. If you want to see them, if you go out to www.animatedanimations.com, you can actually see them. I have, if you go out there and look, you'll see that there's a bunch of Disney ones and a bunch of Warner Brothers ones. I own all of the Warner Brothers ones and only one of the Disney ones. I find the Disney ones more expensive and not as good. Basically what they are is up on the wall, they look like kind of like a shadow box diorama type thing, right? With like the one we have here in my office is Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. And what it is it has a clear cell in the background with Marvin the Martian pointing a gun at Duck Dodgers, who's pointing at the ground and has his gun out. But what's great is I get people here, and they look at this, right, and they notice that there's a button on the side, and they say, "Well, what's the button?" I tell them to push it, and here I'm gonna put the microphone up here so you can hear what happens when the button's pushed on the decorations in my house. So what happens is that the dialogue starts up, and the pieces of the diorama start moving. More cells come out, and they start talking, and then two big guns come off from the left and the right. Because, like I said earlier, I like things blowing up. So a big gun comes in from the left. And then Duck Dodgers brings his big gun in from the right. And then there's like a flash bulb behind the entire thing. It goes off. they fall. This rock slides down, and you see a Marvin the Martian helmet and a duck bill sitting on two little piles of dust. So, like I said, I got tons of these around. I got at least one in each room. One room actually has two of them, and they're great fun. Let's see here. No, the trains do not wake me up in the middle of the night. I'm pretty used to them. Okay, Ryan's asking me, where do you see internet speeds in America heading and how soon? I see them heading faster. Duh. As for how soon, that's a good question. There's some really interesting things happening in some parts of the country where you can get extremely fast internet connections to your house. Just let me look up, see if I can remember what that was called. If anyone remembers, I used to, while I'm looking that up, I used to play City of Heroes. Unfortunately, because of my work situation, I really have not had the time to do anything about it. I've actually allowed my account to lapse. I think I'm trying to get back to it sometime, especially when the next expansion pack comes out. Because I really liked playing the City of Heroes, but my hours, as I said, my hours at work have been crazy. Part of the reason why I had no real content for tonight is that I guess. Eastern time, I got off work at 7:30. Had just enough time to get home, install the stuff to allow me to take over the stream and start it up. Not enough time to actually get anything together. Why is that? Well, because the boss calls at about 2 minutes before I'm going out the door to say, yeah, well, we're up here in Chicago of Jesse Jackson, and we're going to be here until 6:30, and we want to make sure that everything stays up until then because, we're up here of Jesse Jackson. Yes, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Wonderful. Jesse Jackson is looking at shagging my software. Isn't that a wonderful thing, people? Oh. There's more funny things there about Jesse Jackson, but I can't go into them. But yes, fun. Yeah, yes, famous people looking at your software. Yeah. Thank you very much. Just what I needed. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm looking through the chat room here. No. No, I have no cats. No dogs. Just me, the hot tub, and the midgets. Oh. No, sorry, Rye. I am extremely heterosexual. Not desperate as some members of PTR in the past have been, but... Because boy, have we had desperate on PTR. Desperate with a capital N. Let's see here. See, Rye was asking me about what I suggest for a new monitor. Lowest cost, least space used, biggest size. Well, as far as a regular monitor goes, and nowadays, you can probably pick up just about anything. Buying anything smaller than a 19-inch monitor is a waste at the moment. You can get some that aren't as deep as they used to be. It also depends what you want to do with it. For gaming, a LCD isn't always the best because sometimes they can be kind of laggy. I have a Sony 19-inch LCD, and it's pretty fast. No, Nate is not desperate. That is not the end being referred to. Neither Nate or I are desperate. We are very comfortable. I guess, sort of. We're kind of stuck in the middle of no woman's world, I guess, here. Amazingly enough, here in Springfield, there's more women than there is men. So there's more single women out there than there are single men. Unfortunately, all of the good women are already taken. And I have no interest... Well, okay. I have no serious interest in going with a moron. You know? I'd rather be lonely than dating a moron. Because that's just more pain than I need. Okay, yeah. Yeah, if you're doing Photoshop and website design right, definitely you want an LCD. It's actually much easier on the eyes looking at text and stuff because it doesn't flicker like a CRT does. I don't know much about the cheap LCDs. I mean, I know there's some really cheap ones out there. They're selling some at Sam's now for like $200 for a one, but I don't know. I think a cheap LCD would be worse than a somewhat mid-priced. Yeah, because like Striker's saying right now, you know, LCDs have bad refresh rates. My Sony has a very high refresh rate, but my Sony was not cheap. I bought my Sony because, well, I bought it at Best Buy and they had a 2 year 0 interest plan at the time. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it. But otherwise, yeah, you can get a nice CRT of a high refresh rate. Well, any CRT can do a high refresh rate, and for pretty cheap. Someone's asking why would a refresh rate make any difference in LCD? It has to do with smearing. It isn't really refresh rate because LCDs don't refresh. What it is how long it takes for how fast the LCD screen can change. So if it's currently blue, how long does it take to switch to red and that kind of thing. And it's usually rated in milliseconds. And if you're looking at just straight text, it doesn't matter. I mean, text is not going to change. So whatever the refresh rate is, it doesn't matter. But if you're watching, say, a movie or playing a game or anything like that, it can make a huge difference because you'll get a lot of smearing. Things will look pretty bad. It's like the TVs. You know, a lot of people going gaga over these LCD TVs. I think they're stupid. Same thing for the plasma televisions. I think you're wasting a lot of money trying to get something like that right now. They're way too much money, and their pictures are not as good as a CRT. I have a 32-inch CRT high definition television, and I get a much better picture than any of those flat screens. There's some really good DLP projection TVs coming up. Those are pretty good. I like those. And I think over the next couple of years, I think we're going to see a lot of new things coming up. So I really like the new light-emitting plastics idea. I don't know if any of you've heard of that. Basically, they come up with plastic that glows when given a charge. So what they can do is they can actually have a... Well, it glows. It actually changes color. They have a plastic that changes color on demand. And what's cool about that is almost every display method we have right now is reflective, is broadcast light. You know, in a CRT you have a ray gun shooting electrons at a screen that has phosphate on it, and when the phosphates glow, you see the image, and it, of course, there's radiated light. Then there's LCD screen, same way. There's a bulb behind the screen, and it shines through the LCD, and that allows you to see stuff. These new LDP screens are kind of like the old LED screens, where the screen itself changes color and the light reflects off of it, almost like seeing like it printed on a page. And what's important about that is it's much easier on the eyes. That's why if you read a book, right, and you're looking at a piece of paper, it's much easier on the eyes than looking at the monitor, because the eyes are designed to look at reflected light, not transmitted light. So I think there's interesting things coming up if some of these new technologies take off. The only problem, of course, is if you have a TV like that, you'd have to have lights on in the room, because you couldn't see it if you didn't have any light. Let's see. Okay. Unidan is suggesting the 17-inch Trinitron monitors that Dell used back in '98. He says you can find them for about $80. He has 3 of them, and he loves them to death. That actually brings up an interesting point. I am a strong proponent of multiple screens. Especially if you get a new video card. You'll probably get a video card. A lot of them nowadays have 2 outputs. One will be a regular output, and one will be a digital output. But they usually come with an adapter to turn that digital output into a regular output. What that means, though, is you can have 2 monitors. So that you can have some programs running on one monitor and other programs running on a different monitor. And especially when you're doing any kind of artwork stuff, like you're talking about Photoshop, that kind of thing, that helps a lot, because what you can do is have like the entire picture up on one of the screens, and then all of the tools on the other screen, so you don't have things covering up your artwork as you work on them. You just you just move the mouse back and forth between the 2 screens. That's a lot of fun, especially for programmers. It's great. And especially if you're buying like a new monitor, all you do is you just use the old monitor for the second screen. Let's see here. Okay, someone has funny for me. Well, let me know. How do you move the mouse between the 2 screens? You just move the mouse. If you have 2 screens next to each other, one's on the left, one's on the right. Okay, if the mouse is on the left side, all you do is you keep moving the mouse to the left until it goes over the boundary of the first monitor, and it will magically appear on the second monitor. XP can do this, and 2000 can do this by themselves, but a lot of video cards have a lot of great drivers that really help it be better. For example, if you do have an NVIDIA card, I'm sure the ATI cards can do the same thing. But if you have an NVIDIA card, they have a ton of features built in to help make the experience even better, and do stuff like having multiple desktops even. And you can do stuff like use keyboard sequences to move them between screens between monitors and that kind of thing. Let's see. Striker's reminding me to say that you have to configure where the monitors are. If you ever seen in the display control panel, they actually show a picture of a monitor. Well, if you have 2 monitors set up, you actually see 2 monitors. And if you want one monitor to be on the left, you drag it over to the left, and vice versa. Darkian, he'll play games on one monitor and have instant message and forums on the other monitor. So, yeah, that's always fun. It's better than having two computers. It really is. Rye wants a panorama of monitors. I sometimes I think if you have there's been some cards in the past that allow you to actually have more than two monitors. Let's see. I have two people. I have Unidan and Pinky telling me about Ultramon that allows you to do things like have multiple taskbars, multiple wallpapers, screensavers different on each monitor, that kind of thing. That's pretty cool. I haven't heard of that program before. I'll have to go get that. Apparently I can't download off of Messenger, sorry. I tried. Okay, and Darkian, sorry. Let's see. Yeah, what kind of operating system were they using in Swordfish anyway? I want one. Yeah, actually, one of the comics online actually had someone install create a new operating system called Movie OS. It's supposed to be the operating system that they use in movies, and was allowed them to do fun things like, type in "take over world" and it would happen, and stuff like the Movie OS would allow you to hack into NORAD by typing in the password 1234. Yep. Yeah. Now, speaking of large TVs, there's always the old Weird Al Yankovic song, Frank's 2,000-inch TV. That was a great song. How do I get my computer to make those sci-fi beepy noises every time I do something? Well, first make sure there's no one else around for you to drive insane, because otherwise they may kill you. There we go. Yeah, I've seen that kind of thing before there, Striker. Yeah, panoramic monitors. You have to have really, really high level video card to run something like that, though. Yep. Actually, we have more people in the chat room than we ever have before during the usual PTR time slot. Let's see here. Well, it's about time to wrap up. We've managed to make it 2 hours. That is amazing. Hopefully, if Shaggy's toilet ever breaks again, next time I'll have some more time in my hands to actually create more content next time. Okay, one last, we'll actually do one last little story thing here. I don't know if anyone else has been there, but if you go to www.worldrps.com, you will find the World Rock, Paper, Scissors Society. Yes, there is a official sanctioning body for playing rock, paper, scissors. And remember, There's no such thing as dynamite. Theoretically, would you be able to use multiple video cards for multiple monitors? Yeah, sometimes. Depends on the card. Unfortunately, unless you have PCI Express, it's all going to have to be PCI video cards, and they'll suck. No, Rye, I wasn't expecting